Proud Muslim socialist Mamdani has been elected New York City mayor. Here is the most ridiculous thing he's ever said.
So violence is an artificial construction.
That's why we have to empty out the prisons, because violence is an artificial construction. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my freedom-loving friend. This is where we help spread the light of truth and freedom because truth conquers. Now, Mamdani, boy, in this video, I'll tell you exactly why I think New York City deserves Mamdani, and I'll give you the silver lining on how this socialist communist being elected could actually be a good thing. I'll also share some perspective, shockingly, on how it might not be such a good thing. But first, let's start it off with some Babylon Bee headlines that just hit the bullseye. Mamdani assures New Yorkers there's no problem too large for government to make worse. Boy, socialists and communists, they want more government everywhere. And if that means seizing the land, seizing the property of citizens, and the guns, so the government can, well, just have that. That's what we mean by big government. Government runs everything. No more free marketplace. That's the socialist dream. And this guy, of course, is talking about we need government-run grocery stores. Here's something to think about how ridiculous that is. If you think about how horrendous a DMV experience is, it's slow, it's painful, nobody's there to actually help you. That's what you get with government-run businesses. So just imagine if a grocery store operated that way. We'll get to some more funny stuff about all this, as well as we'll hear from the late great Charlie Kirk before his death. He was speaking about Mamdani, and he'll share his perspective on why Mamdani is an appealing fit for Democrats. But first, here's my take on exactly why New York City deserves Mamdani. They voted for him. We live in a democracy, ladies and gentlemen. Those who should be in office aren't who I think they should be in office. They're who the people vote for. So just straightforward, New York City literally deserves the guy they voted for, as it should be. Doesn't mean I have to like him. Doesn't mean I have to think he'll do a good job. Honestly, I hope he will. Based on 100% of everything I've heard him talk about, I don't think he will. But New York City deserves him. And also part of a democracy where the person in office, they deserve to be in office based on who votes them in office. Got it. They win the vote. That also means the citizens deserve the consequences of their voting actions. So I would extend that to New York City. You made your bed. Y'all have to lay in it now. So also, we can't stress enough, this guy is a Muslim. Cultural differences, yeah, there's some violating differences in the culture there, but also he's a socialist. He's a communist, ladies and gentlemen. And here's Rob Schneider posted a quote of Ayn Rand on just why we should be wary about communists and socialists. There is no difference between communism and socialism, except in the means of achieving the same ultimate end. Communism proposes to enslave men by force, socialism by vote. It is merely the difference between murder and suicide. And of course, communism works via the spearhead of socialism. You vote in a socialist, cool. Now our guys are in power. Now we can do the enslave men by force thing, but we got to trick them into voting for us first. And New York City definitely voted for this guy. And in the light of the socialist mindset of I shouldn't have to work, the government should provide for me, Zohan Mamdani horrified to discover he now has a job as mayor. It's easy to ridicule communists because the lies, hypocrisy, corruption, deception is it runs strong in them. Boy, how'd this get in here? As we learn about Mamdani, we learn about who supports him. The Soros family. Tell you something shocking in a second. Alex Soros, son of the revered George Soros, on election night. So proud to be a New Yorker. The American dream continues. Well, the Soros dream certainly continues. Kind of seems like a nightmare, everything they dream of for everybody else other than them. I've read reports that the Soros foundations donated $37 million to Mamdani to help get him elected. And the Soros agendas are very communistic, and it would be shocking if they didn't support this guy. So turns out, no surprise there. Another from the Babylon Bee, Mamdani announces plan to blame racism after his policies fail. That's actually a great plan, and if you look at his policies, some of them are just literally racist. So he'll need to blame racism for why his racist policies failed. From the New York Post, Mamdani says white neighborhoods should pay higher property tax. Okay, that's what you voted for. And last Babylon Bee headline, Mamdani dethrones Gavin Newsom as U-Haul's top salesman. A job well done, Mamdani. And believe it or not, many New Yorkers have said, and now that Mamdani is mayor, that they will be leaving New York City. Let's see more on that. From the Financial Express, 1 million New Yorkers preparing to flee, and we do mean flee, ladies and gentlemen, New York City as polls predict Mamdani win. Of course, he has won. How many of those New Yorkers will follow through on that? I don't know. It's not going to be zero. It's likely going to be a lot. The businesses they really matter. We'll hit on that in a second. But first, for a guy he's a socialist, he promises free things. Free subways, free grocery stores, whatever. Shockingly, nothing in life is free. You have to ask yourself, who pays for that? Mamdani would tell you, well, the government pays for that. Well, the government generates zero revenue. They collect revenue that you and I generate. That's called taxes. So when you're looking at free things, what you're looking at is something that's incredibly expensive on taxpayers. Now, people who pay no taxes, their income's too low, they don't work, whatever it is, it really looks free to them. It's extraordinarily expensive on everyone else. So Mamdani, who's talked about, well, we need to tax white neighborhoods more, we need to raise business taxes, we need to tax the rich. Doesn't tell you he comes from a very rich family. Billionaires suck. Well, the billionaire Soros family, one of your biggest supporters there, buddy. You talking about them? So the people actually paying the taxes are incredibly incentivized financially to flee the place where a guy like this gets elected. And if we just double click there for a second, you see this New York Post from May of 2025. Hey, I found something wild out about stem cells. And if you don't know, stem cells are like tiny repair crews in your body. They go around and fix things that need to be fixed. And guess who's been ahead of the curve on this? Our boy Joe Rogan. He's been talking about stem cells for years, as you can see here.
I had a full-length rotator cuff tear, and the UFC gave me a doctor in Los Angeles, and he looks at my MRI and goes, you're gonna need surgery. I go, 100%? He goes, I don't know how you're using it now. It's a matter of time. You're gonna need surgery, so it might be better to do it now. So I got it shot up with stem cells. And this was the early days of stem cells in America where you could get away with more. That you gotta go to Mexico now again.
Now here's the crazy part. Most stem cell therapies are illegal in the US, and it's not because they're unsafe or don't work, but it's because, in my opinion, they threaten big pharma. As a result, people are forced to take expensive trips overseas just to access their own biology. I think this is a problem. But here's what most people don't know. There is actually a natural way to support your body's own stem cell activity, and it comes from high flavanol cocoa. Studies show the flavanols in cocoa stimulate stem cells to come out of your bone marrow, kind of like bees coming out of a beehive in your bloodstream. And Harvard scientist Dr. William Lee backs this up. Check it out.
So, studies have been done to show that the flavanols in cocoa stimulate stem cells to come out of your bone marrow like bees in a beehive in your bloodstream, and they go out and they find wherever it needs to be repaired. If it's in your heart, they'll fix it. If it's in your liver, they'll fix it. If it's in your skin, they'll fix it.
That's where Black Forest Supplements comes in. They've created the first ever high flavanol cocoa powder. It's packed with everything your body actually needs. I put it in my coffee, all my protein shakes. I use it for the benefit, but it also tastes delicious. This isn't regular cocoa, this is stem cell fuel. If you feel old, slow, or just off, lazy stem cells might be why. But this helps flip the switch with over a 100% increase in stem cell circulation. And for the next 48 hours only, Black Forest Supplements is offering a whopping buy one, get one free. Again, this buy one, get one free deal is available only for 48 hours, and you have to use my link. So hit the link in the description, blackforestsupplements.com/JP. Now back to the video. 14 billion in income vanishes from New York City as 125,000 residents flee for Florida. Keep in mind, this is 6 months before Mamdani got elected. Some of that $4 billion in income from taxpayers fleeing New York, that might have been in speculation. We think Mamdani's gonna get elected. We don't like that. But keep in mind, New York was no golden nugget before Mamdani came along. We've seen that city degenerate, defund the police, leftists running. We're going to make crime legal. We're going to make protecting against crime illegal. Violence on the subways, no repercussion for violence. New York has been crumbling. So many people have already been fleeing it. So much so, you see, wow, okay, $14 billion in income vanishes. How are you going to run those all those promises, Mamdani, these free things, because you're scaring away the people that would actually pay for those free things? So nonetheless, speculation is with Mamdani, this problem for New York City is going to get much worse. And of course, it's one thing when individual taxpayers flee the city. It's also another thing when businesses flee the city, especially big. Here's a report. Dave Portnoy threatens to pull Barstool from New York City over communist Mamdani's win. Hate the guy. And he probably hates the tax implications of this guy preaching we need to tax the rich more while he hides his wealth. Escape from New York. Business leaders say they'll flee if Mamdani wins. Well, he has won, ladies and gentlemen. And from what I hear, they're already fleeing. Now, also, Mamdani, the socialist man of the people, eats rice with his hands, tries to arm around a drag queen. It's just great. Like, as he's just whining about that, billionaires are evil, right? Yeah. We need to down with the rich, right? So he doesn't tell you he's lived an extremely luxury lifestyle. I've seen a report that his parents put him through a $60,000 a year private school, and you realize, you read in New York, how much is his net worth? This is on Forbes. It appears to be running cover for Mamdani because it doesn't tell you anything about his net worth. But then you just do a little more digging, find out, wow, his mom lives in a $2 million house, and her net worth is estimated to be between $2 million and $10 million. So you might actually sit there and say, well, if I didn't know any better, I'd say this guy is a bit of a hypocrite. He's yelling about tax the rich. We need to redistribute wealth, seize property. More on that. He did talk about seizing property. That's a very communist thing to do. So he's talking about that, but he's the rich. Well, yes. Deception is always part of the socialist communist tactics. And in fact, 2 weeks before his untimely death, Charlie Kirk posts this. Mamdani's wedding included armed guards, Land Rovers, ritzy decor, and cell phone jammers inside an exclusive gated compound in Uganda's richest, most elite neighborhood. So Mamdani seemingly wants you to think he's just a poor guy. He's a man of the people. But in fact, he certainly qualifies to be something other than that. Now, the whole seizing of property thing, that's a big thing. We're getting really into communism when government leaders are talking about seizing property. Here's right from the horse's ass himself. The oligarchs who want us to return to work to goose the stock market are the same ones with thousands of luxury condos as investment properties sitting empty while New Yorkers die in the streets and shelters. Seize these properties. In other words, government. We should have the government steal from the people. Why? For the benefit of the people. It almost doesn't work out if you think about it. And yes, he is now mayor of New York City. And this post, it's showing you a quick video compilation to explain how this guy got elected. It's like, well, this is the people of New York. This is the voting base. By the way, that's a very impressive looking flip that guy just did. So these are the people that see Mamdani as a good fit to lead this city. Now, I'll give you my predictions before we end with a video from Charlie Kirk on Mamdani before his death and why it could actually be a good thing and how it might be a bad thing with him being mayor of New York City. First, I'll put it in perspective and say the guy didn't get elected president of the United States. He might have those ambitions. This might just be a stepping stone in his agenda for all I know. But he's elected mayor of a city. Yes, it's one of the most major cities in the U.S., but in perspective, it's not really affecting our lives. So I don't want to act like this is the end of the world. It's kind of amusing to me, to be honest with you. So how it could be bad, I've pretty much covered that. Like communism, look into it. There's nothing good about it. That's how it could be bad, where New York just erodes deeper into a communist landscape. They've been on their way, by the way. Here's how it could be a good thing. You know how when someone has a problem, they might need to hit rock bottom before they change? New York has had a problem. New York hasn't changed as far as like the degeneration of the city, the culture, the homeless problems, leftism in New York, communism taking over. Let's defund the police. Let's prosecute that guy that saved other people's lives. New York has had a problem. It hasn't changed. Mamdani leading the city in whatever direction he leads them. I hope it's upward. I would predict it's going to be downward. That might take New York City into a bit of a rock bottom scenario. An example of how that can work. After 4 years of the Biden administration doing the same thing to the U.S., it was rock bottom for so many people, where they woke up to a new level of consciousness, realizing things have gotten bad. They've gotten bad enough for me to change. So instead of calling Trump some fascist, I'm actually going to look at Trump and I realize I now support that guy. Yeah. So the Biden administration eventually created a rock bottom scenario enough in America that the Biden administration facilitated the change that got President Trump reelected. Mamdani could be that for New York City. So even if he does a bad job in office, and I hope he does a good job. I just have no evidence to suggest that that's likely. But if he does a bad job, it could be good that he got elected, because it could create the rock bottom that New York City and the people in it need in order to change direction on how they vote and potentially how they live their lives. Now, one of the greatest thinkers of our time, let's hear from Charlie Kirk, his thoughts on Mamdani. This is from, I believe, the early summer when he was talking to Tucker Carlson.
The rise of Mamdani should be it's a coming attraction of what is coming next.
Who's Mamdani?
Zohran Mamdani, the Muslim communist that is running for mayor in New York City, who obviously there's a whole rabbit hole we can go down there. He just looks kind of be like central casting, and his ideas are terrible. He wants the city to run the grocery stores, all that. But I think everyone's not everyone, but most people are missing the point of really what this is. This is yet another distress signal by young people to say, hey, if you're not going to fix our life economically, we're going to get very radical politically. Now, let's take a step back. President Trump won the youth vote in many states across the country, in many battleground states. Now, Tucker, 12, 13 years ago when I started Turning Point, if you would have told me that a Republican running for the presidency would be winning the youth vote in Michigan and in Arizona, I'd say, no way. It's an incomprehensible accomplishment of what President Trump was able to do. One of the reasons he was able to win younger voters and younger men, especially in big numbers, is that they were trying to get their leader's attention. They said, hey, this guy, Donald Trump, he is pledging to go fix our economic anxiety. He is loud. He is going to get your attention. Donald Trump was a distress signal by a lot of young people, especially young men, that were stuck in a credit-centric renter economy. And again, this is what is the rise of Mamdani. It's just another iteration of this, only from the left.
Seems true to me. He is a very radical candidate, which can be a reflection in Charlie Kirk's perspective of the desperation of young people. So with Mamdani, how's that going to work out for New York City? We shall see. And let me know in the comments what scares you the most or is the most hilarious to you about Mamdani, a communist, getting elected mayor of New York City, which happens to be in America. Look forward to hearing your thoughts, and I'll see you on our next video. But until then, stay free.